Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. My name is Allan. We're here today to talk about the Challenge Battle of the Eras, episode 12. I'm joined by my lovely co-host. We have the Southern Luke Muncie,
What's up, guys?
the Vermontian Zoe Trimboli.
Hi, everyone.
And this totally isn't the third time we've attempted this intro, but here we are today. Um, it's Challenge mini final day. It was just three people went home. It was high stakes. It was a lot of intense competition. Not that much drama, but there was drama even within the competition of people fighting for their lives.
Yeah, and even so, there was drama after. There was drama during the elimination. There was drama forecasted for next week. So we're in a good spot, I think.
Yeah, because of the way that this season has gone and the two very distinct camps of these alliances, there's going to be a little bit of drama every episode. So I think it's great. I'm really enjoying this season.
Me too.
I think mini finals are very quietly some of the best episodes in challenge history because you really learn a lot about some of the competitors on this show when it comes to both their physical ability and mental fortitude, where you kind of see who are contenders, who's not, and it's an opportunity for people to really impress you.
Yeah,
Or completely let you down.
also that.
Which we saw in this episode. Do you want to just go straight into breaking down what the mini final was?
Let's do it.
So coming into this, TJ drops the bomb on them that last place male, last place woman, purged straight out of the game. Everyone really, I mean, you could see their faces really open up because they can see how strong the cast is around them. So not coming in last place is going to take a lot of work because everyone is going to be given 110%. Additionally, for the men, second to last, directly into elimination. So the targets still do matter. We were mentioning that last week of we were really worried that Michelle, who took these big shots at Jordan, Nehemiah, Bananas, wouldn't even matter because it'd be the purge. Nope, still last place getting eliminated.
Yeah, I was glad they didn't take away the power that she had with that. And I thought that the mini final had lots of opportunity for people to make up time, lose time. It wasn't like it would be a fluke.
Yeah, there was a ton of equalizers, and I don't think that it only favored the very physically fit. It seemed like if you took advantage of that memorization checkpoint, that anybody could have won, really.
Yeah, so it had an opening run, then a physical dig. There was also a paddleboarding section, and as you said, the memorization portion. I would have maybe liked an eating portion too, but also not a gross one because I didn't want to see people throw up like we've already seen this season, but just would have made it feel would have been the last cherry on top of the challenge of what you see in finals. Other than that, it was pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I think that or even just another puzzle checkpoint at some point would have made it more mini final like. But I think we got a really good idea of the capabilities of these competitors.
Yeah. Some shocking,
Oh,
honestly, which I know we'll get to, but yeah, I really like this episode.
also, as we saw in the daily challenges a week or two ago, the sun is playing such a massive factor in these daily challenges because, I mean, we saw the winning time of this daily challenge was around an hour, which isn't that long a time, but based on their bodies and their faces, those people were burning in the sun immediately.
Yeah, and that's pretty strenuous activity they're doing. Like an hour, okay, you can lay out in the sun for an hour. I mean, it's bad, but doing all that extra stuff is horrible. And I think last place that didn't get purged was right under 2 hours or a little over 2 hours. So it's a long time.
Yeah, as a Vermonter that won't run outside during the summer for the most part, in that max, let's call it 85 degrees, but even then that's really pushing it. I felt for these guys trying to do everything they were doing in this heat.
Yeah, as a crazy person who is obsessed with the show and keeps up with spoilers, when I found out the location, I would check daily what the weather was like in the location, just because I think it's fun in the moment, adds to like my hype for the season, but definitely blistering heat.
I love you so much.
Ugh,
Like
it's a problem.
it's such a next level of fanship that I sometimes forget how entrenched you are. And I
Oh, no, no, like I know how far ahead the time is, and I'm like, well, there's going to be an elimination in 2 hours, which means tomorrow when I wake up, there's going to be a spoiler that says that X or X is gone. Like, oh yeah,
I love it. I love it so much.
I hope people listening to this like never question whether or not Luke's a fan or not, because like that is literally next level fandom when it comes to like following this show.
oh, I'm a fan.
To your own detriment.
Oh, 1,000,000%. I would love nothing more than to just be a person who sits down on Wednesdays, watches it, and goes, huh, like that. No, I have to like sit on it for 6 months. Like I have an Instagram account where I just follow all of them and I check it as much as my regular Instagram just to be like, okay, so they posted that. Like during the actual filming, I'm like, this person just posted. Does this mean that they're out? Is someone running their account? Yeah, it's a problem.
Whew, that's it's a problem, but it's also very impressive. Um,
And it's
also,
our benefit as a podcast.
yeah, let's talk about impressive performances though, because we're gonna jump off the bat. We're gonna talk about who came in first to get go, because I don't want to do the whole like breakdown, and then this person was in the lead, and then this person was in the lead. No, we're just gonna just go straight up. Like winner of the daily challenge on the male side, really impressive time, 1 hour and 6 minutes. So he kind of made the mini final sprint for him. Kyland, uh, big showing.
Big fan.
That target on his back just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I love it. I think again, after I'm seeing other competitors question his abilities, and sometimes it feels like he's getting too hyped up, right? Because I think a lot of the other cast members just come across like complete idiots all the time, and he's very acutely aware that he's not an idiot. It's nice to see that he can do the physical parts too, and he just killed it.
Yeah, and we've talked about with the women, like different women were like, is the edit in their favor? Are they trying to like give us a storyline? It's almost like Kylan doesn't need the edit because he is the edit. I don't know. I'm very impressed.
There's something about like Zoe, you're saying, is he putting a bigger target on himself? What's interesting about Kylan is that he kind of welcomes it because he wants to be the top dog. He wants to be viewed as a big threat, and he's talking about like in that final, in that mini final, where he's like, even though like this is putting like a target on me, like I know for myself right now, I'm a real threat to Bananas and Jordan, which is I think just badass to see because he truly loves competing on this show and wanting to feel like he is an elite competitor.
It just I've said it before, but it's so crazy that like we discussed him on USA One, and I can remember specifically us sitting here and be like, his downfall is XYZ. And even last season, it was like, oh, maybe there's not a path to the end because the numbers are on the side. But now none of that matters because he's just performing so well, and I really see a path. Zoe's right; he's a huge target now, but I see a path where he survives 2 more eliminations after this and makes the final and can win the final.
Yeah, I think socially, if he just kind of steps back and lets everyone else take shots at each other, I think he might be able to skate by. It's the problem is that the girls have so much power, and he's at this point not at the top of any woman's list that will get a lot of power. But I'm rooting for him 100%.
Yeah.
And this is
Two
by
more
far the most impressive challenge to win.
for sure. And you said 2 more eliminations. Looking at who's on this cast left, like if Derek comes in last place, if Josh comes in last place, I would take Kyland over them in almost any type of elimination. Um, and I think he would welcome that. I think he'd love to boost his stats at this point. I think he's such a big fan of this show that he wants to get as many accolades as he can and as many stats, which is why I think he was kind of volunteering himself at times during the whole team phase because he kind of wants to take down these big names to build his own legacy.
It's smart.
I feel so validated for taking him in the first round too. I've never felt better about a choice in my life.
Yeah, you should feel that way. Like it was a great decision.
Well, it's crazy too because like USA One did not have a strong male cast at all, besides Danny Tyson and him. And then last season, no champions. So even though he beat champions in elimination, there's always been this thing like, oh, what can Kylan do against these top players? This mini final, man, like first place last week, second place the week before.
I mean, yeah, and Kylan beat them all, and Nerys beat him on 39. So what you're saying is Nerys would have gotten first overall in this day. Like, I mean, it's just crazy. But not to take away from him, he
Well,
really.
Nerys would have been stuck on the paddleboard portion for 3 hours.
Oh God, really lost out there.
No, but I was very impressed, and the way the episode was edited, I was like, oh, Jordan's gonna pass him. No,
We'll get to Jordan in a minute. Women though, Tori takes it for the ladies and does it in really. I mean, once again, it's like we talked about it last week. We talked about it this week. Tori's got to be the favorite female competitor. First place, second place, first place so far in these challenges. She finished in 1 hour and 18 minutes, about 7 minutes ahead of the second place finisher, and a pretty good deal ahead of everyone else from there on.
Tori is, forgive me for saying this, but Tori is the real deal. Like I know that there are some fans that tried to downplay her win with Devin because a lot of people feel like that season was kind of curated for them to win. Luke, you've always been very quick to point out that she was robbed of 2 wins in War of the Worlds 2 and Spies, Lies, or Allies.
Mhm.
So I'm just so impressed with her. I just feel like she just keeps getting better and better against a field of elite women. It is so impressive.
yeah,
What's crazy is that she's never been bad at puzzles. She's always been like pretty average historically. This season, she's taken it to another level where she's crushing puzzles. She's crushing the mental side of the game. And I think that's what we're like when you watch that Ride or Die season. That's why Devin was the perfect complement to her. Now she doesn't even need Devin to do the puzzles for her because she's dominating them. And we know physically, cardio wise, like she's on another level. Like Tori within the season, man, she's putting up like if she can win this, put this all together, based from here, like top 5 female competitor all time at the very least.
Well, and the other part of this too is like you have Johnny on the line as a target, and all he needs is one of his 4 powerhouse women to win. And not only does she smoke them, but she beat Johnny too, which was just like such a good little twist of the knife for me that I just was hyped watching it.
It's clutch. I mean, this is not by winning this daily challenge. It's like, okay, you establish that you're the best. You're the top contender. You win safety. You get to take another shot at Bananas, and he can't even take a shot back at you, which means next week you just gotta not come in last place, and you're in a really good spot.
it is crazy. And please don't think I'm like a Tori truther. I don't like Tori on this show, but I'm not gonna sit here and be fake. She's really good, really good.
Winning on these opposite gender days is almost more important than winning on your days at this point, because on your days, as long as you're not the target, like you just don't come in last. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the other top contenders. Do you want to move into Rachel or Jordan right now?
I say Jordan, and then we'll go to Rachel.
Mhm.
Jordan was close behind Kyland.
3-minute difference.
Yeah.
That was like super close compared to everyone else. Yeah.
And I can't imagine Jordan wasn't trying his absolute hardest, considering by winning he would also guarantee not going to elimination. Because as Jordan knows, he can win an elimination. He just needs to make it to the final.
Well,
So
at the point he's trying, he doesn't know if Tori's going to win.
right.
So has to win to ensure his safety.
Yep. Yeah, because if Rachel had won, it would be a much different scenario. he did play it off like, oh, I've never won one of these things, yada yada. But you have to think he's shaking his boots just a little bit, that like Kyland beat him.
I don't. I
Mm.
think he actually was sincere. It's like a funny thing to laugh at of like because Jordan is the best final runner ever, and he's never won a mini final. Again, though, like the mini final is mini for a reason because they finished in an hour and 6 and an hour and 9. Jordan has run these 4-day finals where he can keep that same pace that he kept this for this hour and 9 for 96 hours. Can Kylan do that? We don't know that yet, but Kylan is impressive, but we don't know if he can sustain this for multiple days like Jordan knows he can.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction. It's funny, like I didn't realize he'd never won a mini final because in my head I was like, oh, he's like the clear favorite to win this. But I think like for him, this was just like a solid workout. It's not like some of these people who act like they're gonna die. He's like, no, this is like a good hour-long hard workout.
Mhm.
He was definitely chilling. Like I will say, he probably did definitely want the win because, as Luke said, if Rachel had won this, then we know Nehemiah got purged, and then Jordan would have been the person in elimination in this scenario. Unless Rachel would have betrayed Johnny, which that could have been a possible option.
Maybe, but not quite yet.
Yeah.
Rachel comes in second, hour and 25 minutes, about 7 minutes behind Tori. Very clearly one of the top contenders here. I mean, the narrative's been behind her. And there also is the fact that Rachel even acknowledged it. Her winning the daily challenge today would have put her in a tough situation because she is now talking or connected to every guy in the house.
Yeah. And I don't think that she threw it at all. I don't think that she let Tori win, but I do think that was really convenient for her to still show that she is obviously the most worthy ally for these men to have, but not having to make those hard decisions yet.
Yeah. And like she said, if Bananas goes in and wins, she's not a target.
She's in a perfect position.
Let's talk about who she is in a good position. Jenny came in third with about a 1 hour, 31 minute time. However, there were many references to her asthma, and we saw her breathing very heavy, even hit the inhaler during the daily challenge.
Do you guys remember that at all from Total Madness?
No. And you know what I think the difference really is? She wasn't puffing on a vape all day long. Like, not to condemn her, like, do you think, like, your lungs, your choice, but genuinely, anytime they are like at the bar or at the house, like they are all passing those vapes around. And this is new for her.
It's just proof that they're so emotionally stunted, all of them, I think, because they're like teenagers who have to hit their vapes. Like, you're competing on a show for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Put the vape down.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the difference between you winning this life-changing money or not, put the vape down.
And it's just crazy because she is a health fanatic that would even be something that she would do. I don't know.
The math is not mathing for so many of them who in so many ways treat their body like temples and then just passing around a vape like it's Halloween candy.
Yeah.
A big reason I was so high on Jenny coming into the season was when she had World of Worlds 2, she came back for Total Madness, having worked on puzzles, having worked on math, and I was like, oh, this is a player who actually shows growth. Because I was tired of the Nelsons who would come on every season without practicing any puzzles. The Corey, for many years, would not practice his cardio. He's improving that since, but it's frustrating when you see these players not show any growth. Jenny puts all his work in her body, like you're saying, but you're going to just vape and throw it all away so you can't run an actual final.
I need like a list of like who is vaping and who's not vaping on the show because I'm judging, frankly.
Yeah. But I mean, like, solid performance on her end.
Yeah, she still came in third.
Would you have her time, Allan?
Yeah, she was only 12 minutes behind Tori.
Behind Rachel then?
Yeah, about 5 behind Rachel, and she was overall, I believe, the 5th place finisher behind like Jordan, Kylan. So she's still up there with the top players. She's within striking distance. She's who I would call the last contender, because I think right now, in terms of like, it's Kylan and Jordan at the top, and then Tori, Rachel, Jenny, as it stands, with great Jenny just slipping in.
And then Bananas was the 3rd place man, right?
He came in 5th, actually. So
5th for the men.
3rd. Yeah.
Oh God, I was not paying that close of attention.
I wasn't either. I thought he got 3rd.
So let's go to the middle of the pack right now. So this person came in 3rd for the men, but I'm calling him middle of the pack, and that's Corey. We were really high on the idea of a Corey win. We've been cheering for a Corey win here, me and Luke specifically. And like on paper, a 3rd place finish sounds good, but he finished with a time of 1 hour and 39 minutes, which means he's 30 minutes behind Jordan and more than half an hour behind Kyland.
That checks out. I hate to say it, but
yeah, that doesn't really surprise me.
It sucks. I mean, it just feels like Corey is building himself up for another 2nd or 3rd place finish at this point. And there's nothing he can really do because it's the women who control the votes. So if he wanted to go after a guy, he needs someone else to take a shot for him, which I guess it did happen this week. But even then, he can't like go in and take out Jordan himself in a way that like, hey, Jordan, I call you out. Let's go into the arena. Corey's just not on the level of Jordan, Kyland, or Bananas, I think. And when it comes to a final, but he's good. He's still a good player.
Yeah, he's solid. I just think he has a lower ceiling. Like he can, I just watching him, my gut instinct is like, he can only be so good. And I think that Kyland is going to get even better as a competitor. I think Jordan is just the best of the best. And I think Bananas has already proven what he can do. I would argue that, although we didn't see it in this episode, that even like we've seen Theo's ceiling be much higher than Corey's.
I just think that Corey's gotten so many 2nd or 3rds in his run on the show that he mentally can't get 1st. Like I think even if it were in the realm, he would psych himself out.
Yeah, there's something missing, like that mental fortitude, that like kicking it into that next gear, like it just doesn't seem to be there.
It sucks because I do think like from this season, what I've seen, I think this is the best he's ever been when it comes to puzzles. The best one's ever become to mental comps, and yet he's still just so far away from the Kylands and the Jordans that he really needs like other people to get bad luck and for him to get good luck to win the final. Like
He needs the field of competitors to be weakened and eliminated for him to have a solid shot.
And on top of that, he needs someone to like break their leg or have like a golf ball hit their face, which is like, those are things that have happened. If you're in the final, like those are things that like, that those are ways players have gone down.
Yeah.
Fourth place for the men was Josh, who I think finished about 4 minutes after. In terms of fitness, Josh is great. In terms of mental ability, puzzles, like just doesn't have. He's not going to stand up next to the top guys.
I think it was even an impressive performance for Josh.
Yeah, I would agree. Because Josh, although he has slimmed down, like he's still a bulky guy, and that doesn't always translate well to the cardio final requires of you.
Yeah, especially being a bigger guy, like running in the heat. That's why I think Kyland also performing so well is so impressive, because he is a bigger guy. So to have that level of cardio fitness, it's just there's tiers to this, right? Like, and Josh is just not in that top tier, even when he's at his best.
If they have like one of those eliminations, like one of those simple ones where it's like run these cinder blocks back and forth, Josh would be one of the scariest people to face in an elimination, because he can carry a good amount of weight because he's big and he's strong, and he's just he's a horse. I mean, Jordan gave him credit at one point during this mini final of like Josh's fitness is like really hit like a high level. He just doesn't have like the athleticism and the like problem solving skills that put him in that elite tier. Bananas came in fifth with a time of, he actually finished behind the fifth and sixth place women even, 146.30. And he was actually in the lead for a good portion of this final until it got to the memory section where he had to completely restart at one point.
Well, if he makes it to the actual final, I hope it's all memory.
Same.
Father time.
I honestly at one point was half expecting him to give up. Because he's just another like sore loser. Bruce Banana, whatever. He was so like once he knew he wasn't gonna win, he got like a little infantile, which is what I've come to expect from him. Kudos to him for, I mean, like it would be so embarrassing. I think his ego couldn't take him like actually giving up. And I think also the other two men behind him were so bad that like he could have started over and maybe still beat them. But he definitely mentally checked out a bit after he realized he was not in the contention to win.
This is where like I think like age really matters. And Bananas is not the Bananas he used to be, where physically he was exerting himself so much at the beginning of this daily challenge, and he was in the lead. He was like kicking people's ass. But then it hit a point where he was so focused on not falling behind the other people physically that he kind of like made errors mentally that he would not have made 5-10 years ago. Because I think about like that free agent season where he had that target on his back and he just always knew the shortcut in every daily challenge. This challenge, like there's parts of that still in him, but he's just not all the way there.
He even said he was only going to do 3 of them at a time, and even then he made a mistake and had to recheck all his work. I don't know how you guys were at like memory games as kids. Like I was like felt pretty good at them. Now when I play with kids as a 32-year-old woman, they kick my ass. Like it's just, if you're not doing that kind of stuff all the time, it really is a muscle that you have to work. And maybe it's that simple. Maybe he just made a simple mistake and it was just the heat and like whatever, but not his most impressive performance and not something he wants to do while trying to jockey for position with some of these women against some of these men.
Correct.
I mean, this is ultimately what cost him the Ride or Dies final. He made an error when it came to figuring out like what was that he would have never made of like when they were organizing the blocks of spelling the challenge and they missed a row and then they realized, oh well, it's over, we lost. They gave him a shot to win and something he would have done easily 5-10 years ago. Just fucked up.
Oh, that so hurts.
Tell me about it.
Not for his sake, in case you're listening, like, oh my God, not for his sake. But yeah, he's washed. No, he's not washed, but
he's not. He's in basketball terms, there's washed and there's cooked. He's cooked a little bit. He's not fully washed completely because he's still got some ability left in there. He's still very good, but he's not who he once was.
Well, and I think too, he benefits from having people that like he can get in their heads, but like he's not going to be able to get in Jordan's head and he's not going to be able to get in Kylan's head. Like they're so locked in and so focused that I think almost his inability to rattle them in a final would rattle him more.
Let's move into the women real quick. So 4th place for the ladies, actually big surprise performance. 7th overall, Olivia.
Shocking, but impressive because I think she's been discrediting herself a little bit and by calling herself a lady of leisure because like look at her body, she's clearly working on it. Like, she's not just laying by the pool every day. She's clearly working out. She was performing really well in that Ride or Dies final until she got smoked by that, whatever it was, ping pong or golf ball. Sorry, golf ball, not a ping pong ball. But I knew she was capable of this kind of performance. And I think it was a really good thing for her to happen at this point in the game.
She needs a confidence boost. And I think not because you're right. She's done this to herself. Like, she's been a little too preoccupied with Theo. And I will say, I think this is natural in any reality TV show. If you don't work it as intensely or slack a little bit, you lose some of it. She came into the season in great shape. Like, her Instagram stories beforehand, I mean, Allan and I can remember talking about it. She was fit, like fit. So I think this is a good confidence boost. I'd like to see her make it further, because do I think she can win? Not against some of these women, but I could be wrong. Like, who knows what the finals actually going to be?
And yeah, with minimized distractions and her just having one job, I feel like she's someone that like can be just kind of a workhorse. So I think finals really lend themselves to that kind of personality. Just, this is what I have to do. I have to get from point A to point B. And I think she could really do that.
And I think when Olivia is tied to someone, she performs better too, because she feels the weight of, I've got to do this. And not a spoiler, because I actually don't even remember, but in like the mid-season trailer, TJ said, the next time I see you, it's going to be less green. Perhaps they're going to a cold area. It could be a desert. Who knows? But like, if the final's cold, Olivia's Alaskan. She's got the experience. She chills with polar bears.
If you watch those, like that Ride or Die season, and like even last season at points, there are moments where you see like Olivia's athleticism and strength and just natural build, where you're like, damn, this girl's like a real threat and a competitor. And then this season, I mean, going against this stat cash, she kind of put herself in this, like, as I so he said, like calling herself a lady of leisure, because she was kind of intimidated by the competition, and it's just like it's hard to go up against those competitors when you don't have as much experience, and even though you put yourself in the gym, you might not be on their level. So it was just good to see her like.
No, I was just gonna say,
perform.
Sorry.
Go for it, Zoe.
No, does she have an athletic background at all, like sports, anything? Or is she just Alaskan and outside?
She's Alaskan, she's tall, and she had like, I mean, especially that, so she slimmed down a ton.
Oh yeah.
In the last couple of, like, compared to Ride or Dies, I mean, she had that natural build where she could just truck anyone in the hall. She basically had the build that Tori was working to get, in terms of like, and Tori was already had like an athletic build.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's also like partially a factor where she was like kind of a powerhouse that first season, and now she's kind of more. She still has that build, but she's thinned out a bit to where, like, I mean, Ride or Dies Olivia, I think you could put her in a hall brawl against like Rachel, and that would give Rachel like a ton of trouble. This current Olivia, I think she'd put up a fight, but it wouldn't be, as much of a battle. Still though, props to her. This is the performance we've been wanting to see. We talked about it last few weeks. Moving into the next next person was Aviv, came in 5th for the ladies, and she beat Kara. They were neck and neck. And what I found shocking about this is that Aviv, throughout the daily challenge, plantar fasciitis. I can't step on this heel. Her and Kara left the memorization portion at the same time, and yet Aviv still passed the finish line before Kara.
Mind blowing. Talk about mental fortitude. And she kind of mentions that at one point. She says, I might have this thing wrong with my heel, but I'm mentally tougher, basically, something to that effect. And she proved it in this daily.
Yeah, kudos to her. I mean, even with timing out of the first section, like, she caught back up and beat some girls that did not, or one girl that did not, right? I don't know. But
the last 3 women all timed out, right?
Even the last place woman?
Oh, maybe not the last place.
The Laurel was like second or third on the initial dig.
Yeah, that's what
It was, I believe it was Kara, Aviv, and Olivia timed out. And then Michelle, and then Nehemiah.
And Derek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Impressive.
So
I think Kara too, she mentions this in the episode. She says something like she's kind of forgotten who she is and she's having this like crisis of confidence. I hope that she can shake it in the next coming weeks, because now that some of the other shields for her have gone away, she's going to find herself in the hot seat more. So I hope that she performs like the competitor we saw on All Stars. What was it?
4.
4.
Because she is totally capable and she is still a massive threat in any elimination, in a final. I think what happened in this episode hopefully will help her lock back in a little bit and get her head back in the game.
Yeah, it wasn't the best showing in my opinion. But I'm with you. Hopefully, 'cause I just don't feel like she's been underdog this season. Of course, she's had her fight with Laurel, but even then, she wasn't at risk of going home.
Yeah.
So who knows? I also think Tori is just really good. Rachel's just really good. Like, there were several seasons where Cara walked in and it was clear that she was the best woman there. And that's not really the case for season 40.
I hate to say this, but there's kind of a reason why Kara is like a 7-time final loser. If you watch back a lot of her finals, she's getting outperformed by other elite women. And you look at the finals she won, Bloodlines. Corey had no ACL, so he could not run. Jenna was not willing to eat any gross food.
I thought
And
you were
then
saying she had no
Vendettas, it
brain
just came
cell.
down to a puzzle. Yeah. Vendettas, like it came down to one puzzle. She faced 3 people who had basically never been to a final before. One of them got hurt. One of them had to bury a log. Kayla has the memory of a goldfish. Kyle has the memory of a slightly smarter goldfish. And so it was really just you only had to beat Zach. So
Yeah.
Kara's final wins have,
Yeah. There's asterisks there.
and Kara's a beast, like no doubt.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna like take her wins away from her, because part of it is just getting there. We know that anything can happen in a final, but there are definite asterisks.
Yeah, to which I think we could say about a lot of people, even people I'd hate to admit. But
Definitely.
like, I think some people often forget too, not us, we get it, but like a lot of people forget that this is a reality show. And like Cara winning Vendettas, it's a pretty good storyline. Like Cara finally getting the Bloodlines win after her fights with Anissa and nobody liking her and all this stuff. Like, it made sense. So, I mean, like, it was better than Zach winning Vendettas, I guess.
Yeah, I go back and forth on that just because he did torture in so much of that final, but I don't want to go into this tangent too far.
Yeah, fair. Cara didn't do well on this though. Like, she didn't.
Yeah. It's not a good sign. It's just not a good sign that like she is falling to the middle of the pack once you put these women who are supposedly like on her level or above her level, and it's just like you want to see Cara coming first here the way Tori did. Next up for the women, we had
Michelle?
yeah, we had Michelle. Well, it came down to 2 people, Michelle and Laurel, and Laurel gave up, which we'll get into in a minute. Michelle barely saves herself. I mean, she was physically gassed at that point. I mean, the sun was kicking her ass, but she got it done.
Winchell?
I was cheering so hard from my couch for Michelle. Like, the odds were against her. She really showed mental toughness. She could have given up, she could have gotten frazzled, and I think she did to some extent, but she didn't give up. And that was the difference maker here between these 2 women. That was literally what decided who went home. And I think that no matter how she has these little mini doubts about herself, or huge doubts, like knowing or feeling like she can't beat these women at final, she's still pushing herself to get there. And I give her all the credit in the world for that.
I expect her to get last just because we saw her last week or 2 weeks ago really struggle in the heat. I
Mhm.
mean, a lot of physicality here that she does not have compared to the other women. So yeah, I was happy because I did see a scenario where Michelle's like, I need medical attention just as escape to get out of, you know, being embarrassed. But she didn't. And like, who cares that she's got a penalty next week? She's still in the game.
I think she's accepted that as part of her fate moving forward.
Hmm.
She, like, no pun intended, she continues to just survive. Um, and at one point, even during the whole thing, she's like, I'm the last one here. I just got hurt. Then she looks over. Oh shit, Laurel's still here. And then she like works on her puzzle a little bit more because like she couldn't believe that anyone else was still working on it at that point. Before we move into that, some other low finishers. We had Derek, who did not get a penalty, comes in sixth, and he's just existing.
Happy to be there.
I actually think he did really well in the physical portions of this. Like, other than the dig, he couldn't do the dig for some reason, but like he didn't do terrible in the paddleboard. His cardio didn't look horrendous. He just completely fell apart in this mental portion. Maybe I'm trying to give too much credit. I don't know.
Yeah,
No.
Well, the dig and the mental portion were two of the four parts, and he didn't do well in half of them. So
That's
I'm not.
I think a lot of people would have expected him to really be pathetic in the physical portion. So I'm happy for him that he could take some positives away from it, I guess.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Theo had a 2-minute penalty, which really devastated him amongst his 2+ hour performance. Once again, it's like we're watching Theo and we're like, I swear this guy used to be really good. That's like the thing we're watching. It's like this guy used to be like really damn good.
It's just like so annoying because his return on world championship, he was like, there was drama that we didn't see, but we didn't see it. He had no beef, even with his ex-girlfriend being there and like other people he's had contentious relationships with. And then this season, sure, he's involved in hookups, but he's not delivering physically hardly ever. I'm going to bite my tongue later when we talk about the elimination, but like second to last.
Terrible.
Just,
It was
yeah.
really bad,
Yeah.
but yet not the worst.
Not the worst.
Not the worst. Last place for the men is Nehemiah, and caught me off guard because I think we all just regard Nehemiah as a strong competitor.
It caught me off guard. Well, it would have caught me off guard had he been in the season ever in any part of the edit. Like poor guy did not get a story at all. So like him being last is shocking, but it's a non-factor
Yeah,
going forward.
it has no impact on anything other than I think he was going to keep getting lumped in with Bananas as a target. So in some ways, I think it's not great for the Tori, Michelle, Olivia camp because I do think Nehemiah had potential to keep Bananas out in elimination. But I don't know what the hell happened to him in this daily. This was shockingly terrible.
I don't think he knows what happens because we saw other people like struggling throughout this, and Nehemiah, which is very quietly struggling with this puzzle. It wasn't like he was like mad or angry. He was just like, oh, I guess I'm not getting this done. And then suddenly it's like, oh, I guess I'm out of the game.
I wish he'd taken like a meditation break, honestly. Maybe that would have helped.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely had the time. He took 2+ hours on this. Nehemiah is casually one of the most like mysterious people on this show because he's like, oh, I own a yoga studio here. I like one season he's like a film producer, one season he's a DJ. I don't know if he's married. I don't like. I don't know how his like life even works, but it's just there's always a new story going on each season. But we don't really know much about him.
See you on All Stars. I'm sure you'll be back there, but I don't see the main show being his thing going forward.
Sayonara, you beat CT. Congrats. We still like you, Nehemiah. It just
Yeah, he's a champ. Like
And I like him as a person too. Like, I think he is a good guy. I think he's probably someone I would love to like have a drink with. But does he drink? I don't know.
I think he does drink.
no,
And
he doesn't
you're
drink
right.
actually. He just
Oh, he doesn't
does.
drink?
I no, I think he's just strictly cannabis.
Oh, well,
Um,
give them weed in the house. It
It's
wouldn't
legal
matter.
in the country. Why not? Anyway,
For the women, let's get to it.
Laurel fucking gave up. That's the point of it. Of like she gave up an hour before she officially was even purged.
Let me jump in and then I'll let y'all stomp her too, because y'all probably noticed the last couple weeks I've been trying not to be so hard on her because I'm trying not to let my bias get in the way. Two sides every story, whatever the case may be. She sucks. And in this moment, she sucks. She's good, whatever. She was complaining the whole time because I think it was a foregone conclusion for her. But I paid very close attention because I, of course, knew beforehand she was the person getting purged. And I wanted to see exactly how this happened. Whenever people started doing things better than her, she was losing her mind. This is torture. This is whatever. When Kara finally solved that memory portion, Laura was like, I just want to be done with this. And then when Michelle solved her puzzle, instead of still trying, she's like, I give up. I'm done. I don't want to do this. I didn't come here to do anything. Like, I didn't actually care about being on the season, yada, yada, yada. As of Monday of this week, Laurel tweeted, I didn't come to this season to try to win. I came to bring back drama in the real world. You weren't even on the real world. And the only drama you brought was really too intense and personal, which sure the real world had, but like that was why you came on to just be an abhorrent human. I don't buy it. You had a confession about how you wanted to help the animals because you value them more than humans. She shit the bed.
she's completely full of shit. She's a sore loser. She's a baby. Like, she's so immature. It I I see this with kids all the time. I see this play out. The second they realize they're not winning, they pretend like they were never trying in the first place, because it's easier to feel that defeat of, I didn't actually give it my all, so no one's actually better than me. I just decided I wasn't worth it anymore, than to admit that you tried your hardest and you were the worst.
Agreed. Humility is great. And listen, these are reality stars. I appreciate the not having humility. But as someone who has had a very rough season in terms of how she's acted, it would have been really nice for her to say, I gave it my all. And you know what? I think I got a big head after All Stars 4 and didn't really train for this. I know better for next time. Because I could be like, you know what? Fair. But the whole like, see you guys, didn't want to be here. Yes, you did. You really, truly did.
I honestly found it disrespectful to Nehemiah, who I think did really try and just did terribly, and he clearly wanted to be there. It was a defense mechanism, right? I
For
don't
sure.
think she wanted to lose. I think she intended to stay. I think she wanted to show off and at least make the final, and then do the exact same thing in the final that she did in this mini final, which is act like she didn't really care, because Kara clocked her completely in her confessional and was just like, she knows that she's not in shape to run this final with the rest of us, so she was going to find a way to either bow out or not make it or do something. Like, it was just such a cop out. And like you said, Luke, this is reality TV. I'm glad she behaved this way. One, because I think it's a clear indicator of like her character and who she is. I think that is Laurel. And I think it also just gives us something to talk about. But it was pathetic. It was disrespectful to the people who worked really hard. And I just think she's a loser.
Yeah. And a few things really quick. I was glad that Kara acknowledged that she perhaps too, as in Kara, is not really ready to face these other women either. She says, but I do know I'm in better shape than Laurel. She is. Also, people always complain like, you guys are so hard on Laurel, blah, blah, blah. We have been saying for probably years on this podcast, as I'm sure many other people have, it is fun to root against someone. I'm not saying I wish Laurel weren't on the season. She contributed a whole lot. It is fun to have someone to root against. It's been Laurel for me.
Also, I was rooting for Laurel not that many seasons ago. I reserve the right to change my mind when I am presented with new or more information about someone. And I wouldn't say it's new information, and maybe I was just choosing to root for a villain before, but yeah, she sucks.
Let's do some fact checking and some bookkeeping real quick. Laurel online on Twitter has roasted into Polly, into Zach, into a bunch of people multiple times for their performances in finals. I mean, it's the famous thing with Kara, but you're a JV player. Can't do this. Laurel, as Kara Clocker said, like, she doesn't want to die in a final. She doesn't want that on her resume. She doesn't want the look of her walking through it, which she was walking through the sand very early into this daily challenge when other people were still running. Laurel would just rather not have that embarrassment, so that's kind of why she didn't go all the way here. Additionally, when she says like, "Oh, I didn't care about competition," you won that first daily challenge and then made a point of posting on Instagram of, "Oh, I actually finished by this time and this time, and I was so far ahead," and stuff like that. And then remember when Emily Scrum was in the game and you threw the daily challenge so that Emily Scrum would be out because you were afraid of facing her in the final? Remember when you threw in Kara in the first daily chat in the first elimination instead of Aviv because you didn't want to face her in the final? Remember all the times you told the guys in the house, "I want to keep the strong men in because I want them as my partners for the final"? You wanted to win this fucking season. You realized you weren't once you got to the individual portion because you weren't at the top anymore, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna say this.
Go ahead.
I have called Laurel the most dominant player in challenge history. I think she's top 2 female competitor all time. I've always said between her and Evelyn, it's been a conversation of like 1A, 1B. This daily challenge performance alone, you're number 2 now. It's not even a conversation because Evelyn would never fucking do this. Evelyn, who hasn't. Evelyn carried the men's bag in those exile eliminations, Luke. Evelyn almost beat fucking Landon, like with like the worst partner ever, like at his fucking peak, carrying the men's bag while he carried the women's bag in those eliminations. Like Evelyn was just like put her even now today in that daily challenge, and she's not coming in last. She's not quitting.
We've seen Evelyn quit before, is what I was going to say. Sure, it wasn't in a final, it was an elimination. And we've also seen her have an absolute meltdown when she's lost an elimination, when it was partially her fault on, I believe his name is Luke, and lost her mind. Listen, I understand. I just think that we have to have, I love getting deep into the shit too, but I don't think this one thing knocks her down completely, because Evelyn has had her shortcomings too. I don't like Laurel. I think she's a lot. But I do think that, like, this will definitely be a big smudge on this. Like, if we've got asterisks, this will be an asterisk. But I don't think this takes her out of the running. Just to be totally unbiased in this moment. I don't like the girl. But, like, I don't know if I personally, and I think a lot of people would agree, can jump to, like, the extreme that this takes her out.
I think I'm inclined to agree. I think we could see something moving forward in the future, kind of like Derek, that the more she comes back, the worse her legacy will become, because I don't think she's going to get better. I think she's going to get worse as time goes on. I'm more with Luke on this one, but I feel the passion and I understand it. And
I think she could have come in 7th in this daily challenge. I think she very easily could have came in 7th and beat Michelle, and she just fucking quit. And I don't think that like Jordan or Bananas has a daily challenge where it's like be the best out of 8 people here that's really like this ever. Or like that's the thing too. It's not just that she was like the worst out of 3 or 4 people. It's like the worst out of 8, and she just quit and gave up. And
I really wish that she'd gotten a TJ Quitter speech, because maybe she did, maybe it was edited out, but I think that man's scared of her too.
He didn't give it to her because he's scared of her.
Yeah, but as she's like saying goodbye to everyone and laughing and making a big joke out of it, I'm like, where is TJ that loves to give the quitter speeches, especially to the women? Like, let's hear it, because she's making a mockery of this, and this is like a big landmark, huge season. Maybe some viewers are watching this show for the first time, and she's just like laughing it off like it's no big deal. Hit this woman with the quitter speech, please.
And here's what I will say, Allan, that I definitely do agree with. I don't know that this necessarily takes her off that fucked up Mount Rushmore that we saw in this episode, but it is the first chisel, like the first little, like, can you redeem yourself? Or is this going to be the beginning of the downfall, like Derek, who has been consistent in his times returning, but is yet to do anything with that?
I will say the chisel is me putting her as the second greatest female player of all time. That is like she's still ranked number 2 in this scenario. Above literally every other woman that's not Evelyn for me. But like, yeah, I was really upset about it. I was like, I can't believe she gave up like that on this season after all she's done.
I can.
You know what? I can't believe it.
I don't know what I can believe in not with her, because it is so all over the place. Like, very high highs with this woman and very high lows, even, because her lows are just out of control. But I will say, I'm glad she's gone. I would hate to see, genuinely, I would mean this for anybody. I would hate to see someone win the most recent All-Stars and then win the next season. That's boring for me. And she's had a great showing on All-Stars 4 in terms of her like athleticism and ability to control a house. But in terms of the way she's acted, okay, you got your villain win on All-Stars 4. I don't want to see it again on 40.
This was huge for the women in the house too, taking her out of contention for an elimination, because she's such a huge elimination threat. Everyone's path to the final just became really interesting and also viable.
It was one of the smaller girls that said she's not someone we have to face in elimination. But I also don't think we can forget Rachel's confessional, where she actually dunked on her and said, "Hey, I'll give you a free subscription to Rachel Fitness. We'll get you right back in shape." I do not think Laurel is going to take well to that online. I
hope so, because Rachel doesn't shy away from anyone online, so I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Imagine how upset Bananas was that he's basically like kept Laurel in this game, been a peacemaker for her, and then he just watches her throw away her game completely in that moment and like affect his game in a way.
Well, part of me wonders if like he's thinking, "Oh, maybe I should have leaned into that car connection a little bit."
Can we touch too on her exit with her karma points?
I was curious if because it's not one of our talking points. So can we talk about it now?
Yeah, let's talk about that right now.
I'll talk about the first thing, and then I'll let Zoe talk about the thing that she's just brought up. First of all, she was talking about Michelle, and she was like, it doesn't matter how many points I give her because she's not making a final. I hope Michelle makes that final. I hope Laurel, because they didn't say how many points she got. I hope Laurel gave her 5 points, and that is what tips it over, and Michelle made the final. Michelle won. I don't see it happening, but that would be such poetic justice for her, like just dogging her out. And then
I cannot wait to see the clips of Bananas podcast when that man finds out that she gave him a 1. I like, after everything you just said, Allan, about him basically cleaning up her messes and dragging her along just because she's a good little shield for him and he needs more numbers, he is going to lose his shit when he sees that she gave him a 1.
And I was on the treadmill, so my hearing was a little bit off. Did she just say because she didn't want to see him win the season?
She didn't think he's going to make the final either. And I'm trying to understand the logic, because I think she does consider him a friend. So I'm like, okay, even in the world where he does, is this her way of just saying she wants Jordan to win more than Bananas?
Right.
I think that's the subtext.
This is the same girl who has lost her mind and won't speak to Zach Nichols anymore because Zach Nichols said, "I love Laurel, she's my friend, but I do have some criticism of her game." But then we have Laurel not giving Johnny stars because he's probably not going to make it. Like, hypocrisy.
I like how she's talking about it like you only have 10 karma points away to give out. So it's like, no, you can get out with everyone 5s if you want.
Yeah.
I really don't get it. I think what she didn't want to say is that she is one, I think she's still got a hard on for Jordan, but I think she wants to see him win more. And so she wants to help him. And she gave Bananas a 1, but it was wild.
Yeah.
He will not be calling her his friend after this, even if that was a lie to begin with.
Or he will because he's scared of her, but yet is attacking Tori because he's not. Which I think ties into what happens next is that, Tori and Kylan won. They have to deliberate, but essentially it's Tori who makes the decision. And it's between Bananas or Jordan because Nehemiah's just been purged. It's a no-brainer. And honestly felt like something we could skip past on the episode. But I understand they have to edit it a certain way. What this did was gave Bananas a chance just to showcase how big of an asshat he is. And I wasn't here for it.
Yeah, clipping his toenails at Deliberation was top tier disgusting, and it was just the Deliberation was so unnecessary.
It was so immature, and I know that some people are just going to eat it up because some people like want to be that level of disgusting, I think. Ew. I don't know what high school was like for you guys, but like there was like a thing when I was in high school where people would like put their spit on their fingers and like flick it at people called it gleeking.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Oh,
So boys in my high school thought that that was like a funny thing to do, not to fucking me, because I was like, I will literally put my hand down your throat if you try to do that to me. But they would like literally do it to people in the middle of class. And that him clipping his toenails at the table and like blowing them towards Tori, it was just so immature and so disgusting to me. And then when Tori was just trying to have a conversation with him because they were stuck together in this room and she had the opportunity, he just loves to play victim. His for a man that's won this game 7 times, his victim complex is insane. It's actually crazy.
Well, and I would hate to be a person in a relationship with him because as much as Tori can get him on nerves, she very clearly was like, am I going to be allowed to finish? Like, let me talk to you from a place of reason. No, Tori, you can't. You know exactly why. This, that, and the other. There was not going to be any, like, not that I think they could have resolved the issue, but what was the point of blowing up? Nobody in that room is impressed. I mean, he is a self-produced person. He knows that someone at home is going to be like, yeah, talk to her like that. But it's just gross. And he even like spouted off things at Kyland about his wardrobe, which had nothing to do with anything. You all need numbers in this game to make it far. Yeah, Bananas, you have as well on several seasons you've been on.
And you have 4 people in your pocket right now. So what are you even saying? Your alliance is bigger than theirs.
Yep.
I think the thing that got him so mad was she was right, because all she was saying was, you taking personal shots at someone who is my friend, my best friend, my ride or die, is taking a shot at me. And she was right. You can say that she didn't have to come for him, and that might be true. You can say that she didn't have to carry Devin's torch, and that's true. But she was simply saying, you coming for Devin is the same as coming for me. And she's right.
It'd be like if Tori were coming for Laurel. Bananas would have freaked out.
last week I was pro Bananas, very into the pot stirring. This week, very anti. I draw the line very much at the cutting the toenails. I don't want to see anyone ever cutting their toenails, like not even Margot Robbie. Like it's disgusting. Like it's gross.
Yeah, no, it's disgusting.
Tori was shocked when he said she wasn't when he said she wasn't funny, which I will say, Tori's not funny, but she's a great competitor. That I did agree with. I was like, you know what, she's not wrong about that. Moving on, elimination time, right?
Yeah.
Actually, before we do, there was a scene before the daily challenge, even I think, where Jordan said like, yeah, you know what, it would be really cool to win a 5th championship, and he just said it really casually, and that was a moment from the episode that just stood out to me. Of he's like, yeah, 5 would be cool.
And he also says to Tori, once you've got your first, you can easily get your second. I will say, Kyland and Tori definitely are standing out the most to me. I don't want to see an outcome where Jordan and Tori win. I think that would really be a big fu. Like I get it's a monumental season, but like to see them two win together, I don't want to see it. Like maybe if they're married and they could pull that off, like a la Brad and Tori on Cutthroat, I guess. But like, I don't. I love that they're so cordial and our friends after this. I think that's a huge testament to both of them as people, despite all odds. I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
I would love to see Kyland and an older school woman win. I think that'd be a good way to like progress into the future, but still pay homage to the past. I don't want to see this.
Yeah, a Kylan Rachel win would be ideal. And we get a little glimpse of Rachel recognizing that he is a formidable competitor, and that maybe moving forward, if she loses some of these other men, that maybe Kylan is someone she'd want to protect. Again, elite level gameplay from Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kylan and Rachel, that'd be the equivalent of Ashley and CT winning Invasion, where it's like homage to the past, and we got a new person up and coming.
Yeah.
Next up, elimination time. Bananas versus Theo. They competed in an elimination on War of the Worlds 2 even. The elimination was like actually like props to them on the design of this because it was much more interesting than all the previous eliminations we've been dealing with in recent weeks. There was a bunch of you hated it?
I hated it.
I hated it given the two competitors, but I think if it was different people, I would have loved it.
Maybe for shittier competitors, this would have been more interesting to me. If you want to claim production rigging for someone, this is the elimination you can claim it for, because they're putting the biggest guy in the house. Allan, you can describe it.
Yeah, there's a glass box with a bunch of holes in it, and they're doing a reverse kerplunk in this elimination. You start off with 7 poles, and you can put them anywhere in this glass box to impede your opponent. After your first round, whoever like gets through the box the fastest will then play higher or lower. Basic card sharks type game. And if you win, you get to put 2 spokes in your opponent's box, and your opponent only gets to put 1 in yours. If you lose, it goes the other way around. On and on and on. They have a minute to do it, and then eventually, at a certain point, you'll only have 30 seconds to get in and out of the box.
Yeah, I instantly thought, well, that sucks if you're 6'7", but maybe not, because you could like force your body through. I still think it was definitely in favor of Bananas.
Yeah, I mean, even his width too. Like, he's a much broader individual. I think everything about this was stacked against Theo. And this is not just me being a hater. I hated this elimination on sight, knowing Theo was in it, because I mean, he had a great strategy going into it. He said he watches cave diving videos on like TikTok or whatever, and he knows it, and he did outperform, I think, many other men with his frame. Like, I don't think Mark Long would have been able to do what Theo was doing in this elimination. But even while getting my hopes up watching it a couple times, we knew how this elimination was going to end.
Yeah, production knew 36 hours in advance that it was going to be Bananas and Theo, because there'd be no doubt that Tori was going to vote Bananas and Theo was in last. This would have been a very fun elimination between Bananas and Nehemiah. This would have been a great elimination if it was them, but given it was Theo, that's why so the outcome is Bananas wins. They go for many rounds, and TJ and the crowd all give props to Theo throughout this elimination, because his body frame, just even getting through the box, was so impressive. I mean, I know he sent Pauly to the moon, but I would say this was Theo's most impressive performance this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I was more intrigued by what was happening with the crowd. Bananas could not handle that people were cheering for Theo. Like, Kyland even said at one point, like, you're just 1 away, like, poll wise. And Bananas like, no shit, dipshit. Like, what's 2 minus 1? And it's like, you clearly can't understand that he is just
encouraging.
Right. And as far as I can tell, Kyland hasn't gone out of his way to say anything intense to Bananas. I know we questioned him about a decision made a couple weeks ago, but like, are you that intimidated by him and his performances that you are like so angry he's saying these things? And then Michelle and Josh.
I love it because it was the 2 of them just being themselves.
Yeah.
Josh was cheering for both Bananas and Theo, but at the moment that Michelle calls him out, he is cheering for Bananas. And she basically just says, cheering for Bananas is rooting against me. And because she's stressed, like she's watching this stressed, knowing what will happen if Bananas wins. And I think that was just a very raw, real reaction. And a lot of people would filter it, but not our reality TV stars, and we love them for it. And then Josh, being Josh, has a mini meltdown and is like, basically, I'm so sick of your shit. Leave me alone. Stop picking on me.
You always have this attitude. I'm done with you. And it's like, oh my God. Great TV. Because I mean, I was kind of getting bored with the elimination. Uh I just don't know that Bananas is the side that Josh should be working with. Like, if I'm Josh, I'm gonna go maybe with the Theo and the Corey and Derek. That's who I want to go to a final against, not Bananas and Jordan.
I think the only reason, and as someone that's actively rooting against Bananas, I think the only reason that this might be smart for Josh in this game for getting to the final is it aligns him with more women. So
Yeah.
statistically, if he names himself as Bananas' #1 male ally, he's not getting put on that target board potentially.
Yeah, I'm not mad at Josh for like cheering for both. It does make sense for his game.
Something I just realized right now is Josh pissing off Michelle is actually a dumb move because I thought her being like, you rooting for him and rooting against me was a little dramatic. But then I realized Bananas wins, she's going to be a target next week. And if she goes into elimination, has to pick a target, that could result in Josh going in because he's gotten on her bad side. Derek said at one point during the elimination, I hope Bananas wins because he's going to target my allies. And my allies, when they go into elimination, aren't going to target me.
You know, production was saying them when he said that, like, oh my God, what a great idea we hadn't thought of. Let's put that in the episode because it's a great layer.
I mean, I think Rachel even indicated that earlier on. Bananas going into elimination winning is ideal for her.
Yep.
It's a weird setup, like the way this game has worked out, that you are half rooting against your allies.
Let me build this alliance with you, like a real alliance, but I'm really hoping you lose. It's
Which
Yeah.
with some of the way these alliances have shaken out, like Rachel being aligned with Bananas and hoping for his downfall feels better to me.
Hmm.
Bananas gets the win. He now is the all-time record holder for most elimination wins in show history, which should happen when you've been on 20 plus seasons. But credit to him. Uh, Not the most impressive win, but he did win. Theo's out, and Theo being out really hurts Olivia because I mean we saw her mentally check out last season. Now that Theo's gone and she's like attached to the hip by him, I don't know how much longer she's going to stay in this game.
I could very much foresee a Olivia Michelle elimination where Olivia loses on purpose.
Just to join him in whatever.
Or just because she
place
doesn't
he's-
think she's gonna win and she wants Michelle to stay longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Olivia, it sucks because she just had her best performance of the week, but now that Theo's gone, it's just all that momentum is already gone. Because and you can kind of see it in the trailer for next week where she's like kind of not even like sure why she's there.
But I'm hopeful that this is like her having this doubt like Michelle's had and she really like bucks up and I don't know.
It's
Bananas picks his targets
yeah.
and he says, raise your hand if you're cheering for me. And I love that they don't even BS. Cara, Michelle, Olivia just sat there. Like, why would we? And I think something it shouldn't be lost on people, but Cara and Theo are close because they did World of Worlds together and have like had that connection. They knew they were going to be targeted. Cara did make some faces like, what the heck? But duh. It'll be very interesting though to see what happens next week. Who gets last for the women? But like I see a very clear path where Cara goes into elimination. Like given that another like Aviv could get last place next week, and the winners could be Bananas, and it doesn't matter. and Bananas throws Cara in. Maybe not over Michelle. I don't know.
I was just thinking how much I need to see Aviv lose next week just for the plot of it. I think it would be interesting because then it really puts Bananas' friendship with these women to the test. Is he going to give them who they want to face, or is he going to give them Cara?
Yeah. And that's if he even wins. I'm just seeing if
Yeah,
if you're Bananas, I would be trying to win the next daily to ensure safety for the next week and to preserve your girls.
absolutely.
Michelle has a disadvantage next week though too, so there's a pretty decent likelihood she'll come in last place because she's just not been the best in these daily challenges. Plus with the disadvantage, so I think Michelle versus either Cara or Olivia is what to expect. And if Bananas wins, I could see him going like, "I want you out, Cara. Take her out."
Yeah.
Mm.
Anything else we got to talk about?
The trailer for next week looked juicy. I'm excited for another episode.
Me too.
I am too. It looks like we're gonna get some Bananas, Michelle, Olivia type stuff. I also, little thing I just realized, Cara made fun of Bananas, or like the Bananas Angels are the only people like profiting from the alliance because Bananas just still gets the target every week. That's about it. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you get this podcast, iTunes. Have a great week, everyone.